But Moe, I want to ask you a question.
Yep.
Do you favour corporal punishment for theft? Like chop someone's hand off?
For theft, what kind of theft are we talking about?
Call it a car. Let's go with that.
Yes.
Oh, there you go. Oh, okay. All right, chop their hands off. All right, that didn't work because they're going to say 88% of Pakistan would say yes, chop their hands off.
At the same time, though, sorry, I want to go back to it. So theft for stealing a car. So
hands.
When it goes
just
back,
one.
when you go back to hands, just one, yeah.
All right, what about a finger?
When it goes back to Sharia law, it takes the person's position into consideration. Are they a poor person stealing a loaf of bread? You don't chop their hand off. If it's a person running like a ring of illegal cars, stealing cars and selling them, sure. This is debated in Sharia law.
Cheat on your wife, stone him to death.
I don't believe that's actually a law in Sharia law.
Still, 89% of the quarter billion people living in Pakistan would support that. And that's where individuals such as you have morality, but groups are sheer force, political force, physical force, or another. If you want to leave Islam, we're looking at Egypt, 86% would say off with the head. Palestinian territories. That's why we look at somewhere like Gaza and say when it's 89% there, when that number is 89% of the people living in the Palestinian territories would support death for apostasy. Well, okay, let's take a moment. That's a big deal.
Yep.
So you may not support death for apostasy. I don't know.
No, if it's Sharia law, I'd support it. I'm not watering down my religion. But again, when it comes to capital punishment...
But you support death for leaving Islam?
Whatever Sharia law says it is, I support it 100%.
So, Mo, how do you...
That's my religion, but that's not being implemented in Australia. If there was an Islamic proper country, a caliphate, which doesn't exist today, I'd have to support it as a Muslim.
But would you want it as Australian law?
What's that?
Would you want that as Australian law?
No,
okay.
No, definitely not. I've got this dual loyalty. I'm Australian. Out of God's wisdom, I'm born in Australia. I've got that loyalty to Australia. I'm a minority. Muslims are 0.5%, if that. So I wouldn't want to impose what my religion beliefs are onto the rest. It makes no sense to do that. It's disrespectful. We have our own way of life, and I'd want that for my own people back in our home countries. And I'd say today, there is no proper Islamic country today. They take Sharia law and they over-apply it on a certain group. They don't apply it correctly. These capital punishments our religion have, there's a whole court process he has to go through. Example, adultery. Adultery has to be witnessed by like 3 or 4 people. And a witness from a woman, you need double the witnesses.
Doesn't here.
You know?
It doesn't have to be witnessed by anyone here.
Yeah.
You can just...
In what scenario...
Any sort of sexual crime here could just be like...
And put it on
someone
OnlyFans.
just says, big facetious. Sorry, go ahead.
That's all right. In what scenario where 3 people are going to witness adultery, go to a court and give in their statement, you have to do it out in public to get 3 witnesses.
I was going to say, what are they doing looking?
Yeah, exactly. to get the stoning of death, whatever the punishment, it's actually 80 lashes, not the stoning of death. That was the Prophet applying a law from the Jewish text at the time. I'm not going to, back that. I have to go back to the scholars, but I know it's the 80 lashes. It's lashing. So you have to get 3 witnesses, which it won't happen. You have to be doing sex in public. So it's more of a deterrent. That's why the capital punishment is there. Because if you have people having sex in public, I mean, it's...
What you've got is a system of law in Sharia law that's evolved from a culture and a religion, right? And that's appropriate in countries that have that culture and that religion.
Yeah, the UAE have it there as well. I mean,
And our culture, and this is where it gets, you got to look at religion as the basis, or we can't say Australia is not a Christian country.
It
right?
is.
It might be secular now because people don't practice. The reality is that our law, comes from a Christian and ultimately Judeo-Christian background, but with Christian overlay, right? The concept of forgiveness is very much a Christian concept because it wasn't present as much in the Torah. So, it was Jesus that came along and said, "Well, actually, no, we're going to do forgiveness, we're going to do redemption, we're going to do all this stuff." It took it to a different level, and our laws, not I mean, you know, as I said, in a Muslim country, it's Muslim laws, and that's how it should be. But
Sharia law tells us to respect the laws of the country we're going to live in. So, I think that's
I like
that's
that.
As long as they're a minority, or I mean,
that's
because you're
right.
saying
That's right.
You were saying as long as you're a minority, but if you're a majority of some areas,
I don't know how that will happen.
Rotherham, Luton, are these areas where that becomes a majority
it's
culture?
The country. So the country's laws. I'm not advocating for any kind of conquering.
This is the problem, Chris. Right? It's
You know-
not happening. It's that same issue. I think that was Sam Harris on that original. You ever see that clip of Sam Harris and Ben
Affleck.
Ben Affleck.
Yeah.
You know, and it was like Sam's sort of saying, you know, and that you've got these concentric circles of different levels of acceptance of like, you know, immigrants like. Well, you're not an immigrant, Mo, you're born here, but your parents or your family and your way of looking at it, right? That, you know, yes, we practice our religion here, but we understand we're living in a Christian country, so we respect the Christian-based laws and the evolution of the British legal system.
Yep.
But how do you
But
integrate?
then you have other different groups, like, you know, the extremist Islamist Pakistanis in the UK, I guess, or I don't know much about it.
It's more
so I'm
tradition.
speaking out of
It's more
ignorance here.
tradition than religion. It's more tradition overriding religion, and
Is it? Right.
it's you got to admit these people are brought up in a certain mindset, hive mind, and you bring that here, it's going to create a mess.
How is it here? Like, as a Muslim Aussie?
I love it.
No, I mean, as a Muslim Aussie looking at the Muslim community in Australia,
Yep.
do you see those concentric circles, those different groups, or do you?
No,
What do you reckon?
everyone there's no in my circle in Western Sydney, no one has that extremist mindset. Islam is very compatible with Australian values. Like that statement, we've got no problem with that.
But I've heard some pretty rough stuff coming out of some of the imams, and
I mean, when it comes to politics back at home,
Here. Are people cry for jihad? Are people desire jihad? Are people die for jihad? That's Auburn, the Auburn Islamic Center.
Yeah, jihad just means struggle. Jihad, I've got an internal struggle. Me abiding by not doing adultery, not committing sin is a form of struggle. Not sleeping around is a form of jihad. It's an internal jihad. So the word jihad just means struggle. So again, we have people that are not Arabic speaking or not Muslim or have never studied our religion from the beginning. Take these words and make it look like jihad means to kill. It not necessarily, no. It just means to struggle.
Can I just say, Maui, and I respect this about Islam, that you guys have a huge respect and almost a chain of command when it comes to spirituality with regards to those of the Muslim faith in the different levels. And I totally respect you're not in any position to actually talk on the faith. But at some point, just like with the female topic, I will be getting some actual imams that come in with some of the opposite side.
sorry, Mo, I probably threw a question at you there. It was a bit unfair.
No. I want to keep going down that for a second because I think there's something important here. And the whole reason why I wanted to get a diverse panel religiously but also ethnically is because we've got to work this out. Because if we don't work this out, we're going to look like the UK.
The UK.
And tribalism is going to take over. And you know what the worst part out of all of it? There are people like Tommy Robinson, like Majid Nawaz on the opposite sides, and they're not talking to each other. And they were on the same side when it came to the COVID stuff, the vaccine stuff, but now they're like at opposite sides of this.
Are they?
Right, yeah, they are.
didn't
And they're
know
not
that,
they're not talking. And so when I see that, I'm like, I'm very protective of what we have here. And